Where's my music? Hello, hello. Hello, hello. I need my music. I need my music. My lo-fi beats. There they are. Go live. Go live. Let's go. That's cool. All right. Welcome, everybody. Dark Mark. Right on cue. Do you get notified now? I know for a while people weren't getting notified, but hopefully you are. Reporting in. Live on Instagram. Allie Waters? Are you serious? On Insta? Is that the Allie Waters that I know from Once Upon a Time? Oh my gosh. Could it be? Welcome, everybody. My name is Austin Hamilton, also known as Porn Coach. Please say something, Allie. Oh, that would be amazing. I love when real life people come into my lives. Hold up. I'm going to go cheat. Okay, have fun with that, man. uh, all right, I'm having a moment. All right, wow, somebody wants to come on. Clarify me too. Hi there, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. What's up?
Uh, I was just scrolling on lives and I seen the question is porn cheating.
Yeah?
And you know, um I don't believe you could be in a relationship where you say you love somebody and only have eyes for them and only have a burning desire for them while
Okay.
you're also going online and lusting after people on the screen that you don't know, and you
Mm-hmm.
see them naked and you get turned on by 'em. I just don't see how you can do both things. So
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
that's my input.
Yeah. Well, I agree, man. It doesn't seem that hard, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
And
How,
I feel like this is a factor to why so much marriages are actually becoming horrible, and how we see it today is because there's some partners that get caught watching porn, and there's some that don't even admit they watch porn, but porn alters the mind for you to act in a very bad state of being. And you could take it out on your significant other in many different ways, and you don't become satisfied with certain things about them, or you just don't see them as the people that you're watching porn on. So it,
yeah.
it could detriment a lot of things in a relationship. So yeah, I mean, it's just horrible
Buddy,
all around.
I need you to go away, okay? Can you shut the door, please? Sorry, I feel so. My 9-year-old just walked in. Like, what am I going to do? I can't have him walking over here. How old are you, man?
Oh, I'm 21.
I'm 21. Okay. How did you form that opinion?
uh well, I formed that opinion. How did I form it? Well, just understanding what porn is. I mean, when I look at it and when I see it, it's really nothing but lust driven, and well, no one should ever be watching it. Sadly, I ended up watching it younger, but
Mm-hmm.
I was never dumb about it. I knew what it was and what the motive behind it is, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a very big distraction amongst people.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are in like a rabbit hole when they watching and they try to quit. They think they could quit. They go a week, they go right back in. They go 2 weeks, they go back in. So
Yep.
behind it is just it's lust, and yeah, really, that's really how I came to that mindset. But
Yeah.
Also I believe in God as well, and I believe God offers something more than the craving desires of our flesh. So
Hmm.
that's another reason why how I came to think how I do and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. So, 21 years old. You don't watch porn. You were exposed to it a little bit when you were younger, at least. Are you dating, or have you dated anybody recently?
As of recently, now I'm trying to get done with like school and stuff like that. I'm trying to get done with school first, and then
Hmm.
after that, I feel like I want to then dive into, getting to know new people. And I feel like that's a little dumb as well, because, you can also find someone along the way, build with them, and then, have a good, like, you know, relationship and stuff like that. But I don't know, me, I want to set things straight before anything else and then get into it.
Hmm.
I thought about getting married early, but then, sometimes other people say, "Oh, you got some time, you could wait," which I do. So it's
You
just
do.
like,
You're
I'd
young.
rather just finish school and stuff
What are you
like that. What you
studying?
say? I'm trying to study for nursing. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I'm getting ready to start nursing school. So
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I said you are young. You do have time, and you blink and you'll be 30.
right,
But
exactly.
you definitely got a lot of time. Well, that's cool, man. Thanks for sharing. Do you talk about this amongst your peers? I'm curious what those conversations might look like.
Yeah, most definitely. Sometimes it's people around me, especially my age. Some people they deal with it and they struggle with it, and there's been people who said they've been free from it, and there's people who are still like struggling to get out of it and stuff like that. And I mean, the conversation, I mean, it's pretty like straightforward because, like I told you, I believe in God. I tell him that, if you spend more time doing things aligned with what God wants you to do rather than doing things based on your fleshly lusts, then that's when the freedom begins and stuff like that. So, I tell him that. And really, a big factor in, stopping, being like addicted to this stuff, like porn and everything, is you got to turn off the media. You got to turn off the media. You got to watch what you listen to. You got to watch what who you talk to, even. You got to watch your surroundings, your settings, because they could all be an impulse. I believe it starts as an impulse. And then once you like get the impulse, then you start fantasizing. And then when you fantasize, that's when you start, wandering free of, okay, I'm gonna look into this account. I'm gonna keep listening to this music. I'm gonna keep doing that. And you just dig yourself a hole and then you're watching it. You know what I mean? So you gotta catch it. You gotta catch it when it first like impulses you. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
if you're on Instagram and you fall into, those wicked sites because of Instagram, you gotta delete Instagram. If it's TikTok, you gotta delete that too. If it's YouTube, you gotta delete it. Cause it can
Hmm.
start there and then next thing you know, you're watching the videos and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but yeah. So yeah, I definitely talk to them about it and stuff like that. They're pretty cool with talking to it with me and stuff like that. Cause I just try to help them and stuff.
Good, man. Bro, you are wise beyond your years. Has anybody ever told you that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Sometimes I hear that.
Sometimes you've heard that a time or two.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Time or two. Yeah, I just had somebody tell me that. I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Good for you, man. That's awesome.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I
Um,
thank you for talking about this topic too, because this is some men who they struggle with, they don't want to, they feel ashamed, because
hmm.
they might it might make them look like less of a man if they talk to someone about it. But
Right.
you just bringing this topic up, you could actually share some things that people don't know can help them. So I'm thankful that you even brought this up because it could help some people out as well and stuff.
Yeah, man, for sure. Well, stick around. I don't know if you just came across me or been following me a while, but I love creating conversation. So I appreciate you chiming in.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for having me up, man. I'll stick around a little bit.
All right, man. Thanks for sharing. Take care.
All right.
See you. All right. We're just getting started. Tap the screen, like and share, people. We're at 1,000 likes. We can probably get to 20,000 pretty quick. Let's go. I am Moonlight. You there? Going once. Not there. Okay. Lexi. Hey there,
Hi,
what's going on?
I've never done something like this, so
Okay, well, here you are. What's going on?
um well, I just found out about my boyfriend's porn addiction, so I've just been doing research and I found your account, so
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. What did you find out?
um well, like mostly we've been together for a year, but we've had problems on like social media with him liking profiles and following girls and unblocking exes and things. And but it wasn't until like a few weeks ago until that I found his OnlyFans links through his Instagram. So, but then he told me like that he had a problem, and I just don't know how to deal with that.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have my own childhood trauma of things, so it's kind of hard for me to help someone with their own issues.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
I don't know. I don't. Maybe I just haven't dealt with my own problems.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, the thought of you like confronting him, what prevents you from doing that, or uh, for him in a different way? Basically, like, this is not good for you. It's not good for us. What comes up for you when you consider that?
Well, like my problem comes from his consistent lying pattern. From like all of the times of, with social media of like, okay, I'll stop doing that. I won't look at these girls or whatever, or I won't unblock this certain ex. And then he does, and he'll sit there and lie straight to my face. So how am I supposed to believe that he won't continue to do that?
Well, what evidence do you have that suggests that he's going to do anything differently?
Because he kept doing it for multiple months in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, are there other areas where he's being dishonest with you?
I really just think it's everything. Like he deletes text messages to searches to really anything on social media. And he said he would delete all social media, and he did. But I just believe in a relationship it shouldn't have to come to that.
Mm-hmm.
You should have your own self-control.
Mm-hmm.
That I am not your babysitter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, are there, if you think back in your life, are there other relationships or situations you've been in where you've dealt with somebody who's not being truthful with you and you've had to deal with it?
Mm, I mean, I'm sure I have my own trust issues, but not really. I haven't had this type of problem in previous relationships.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe
All
it's
right.
from childhood.
Maybe. Does anything stick out from childhood?
Um, I mean, maybe it's just like because I was abused as a child, it's hard for me to navigate pornography in general and people that look at it just it's a deeper issue
Mm-hmm.
than what it is used for
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
me.
certainly that. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that you experienced that when you were younger.
It's
Um,
okay.
you said you've been dating this guy for about a year, and how long have you known that he's been looking at porn or lying to you?
About like 3 weeks.
Okay. And what are you wanting?
I mean, I want him to get better, and I want the relationship to succeed, but I don't know if I have it in me to forgive him and move forward.
Okay. Okay. What if he
Because
doesn't change?
he's also more dominant in the relationship and in the bedroom. And I believe that he's not honest about the type of porn that he's into.
Has he told you the type of porn he's into?
He just says that he likes control. He likes to be in complete control and dominancy, and he doesn't want to objectify me. But like, I'm not really familiar with porn and all the, types of porn there are, as have never watched it really. So he won't tell me specifically. And
Yeah.
I tried to, log into his OnlyFans or him give me the password so I can see the type of things he's into. And he's deleted everything. There's no trace of anything.
Well, he probably does want control, right? Playing out fantasies by way of using porn is an act of control. It's getting exactly what you want when you want it, or at least the illusion of getting that.
Right. And he even says he doesn't like when I initiate. That's a turn off for him. He wants me when he wants me. I find that very triggering. That sounds very controlling. And he was not honest about this until recently. And we've lived together our entire relationship.
So what keeps you with him?
Because I see potential in him. He's a good person. He's also a cop. But I just think I think he has his own trauma because he also was married about a year before me because he was in the military, so he was with his ex-wife for like 7 years, and she cheated on him, and he said this porn problem has been a problem for many years, so I'm sure it affected that relationship as well. And so I'm just seeing a pattern that I don't want to be involved in.
What's the age gap there? Your bio says you're 24. How old is he?
He's 27.
Okay. All right. So if you don't want to be involved in that, again, what's keeping you there? You said potential.
Right, because I mean, from what I've looked into about porn addiction, like, you can get better. So, like, do I give him the chance to get better? Or has he proven himself to not be worthy?
Well, there's always hope. There's always hope. Anybody can change, I believe. I think the question is you're just dating the guy. I'm assuming you don't have kids.
Right.
Okay. So you're not married, you don't have kids. And this isn't advice. I'm just stating a possibility. He can heal, he can get better while not bringing you down through the process. Meaning you guys could not be together while he gets better. And if the potential turns into reality, all right, there might be possibility there. Right?
Yeah.
But there's something keeping you there. Like, what are you getting out of it by staying in that?
I think I have my own attachment issues.
Tell me more about
So
that.
I like um I just feel like I'm used to people leaving, so I attach myself to things and try to give people, because I'm also Libra. I don't know if that means anything to you, but I try to give people the benefit of the doubt and weigh many options, and I'm very indecisive and afraid of making the wrong decision.
Yeah. So, I mean, we all struggle with that, right? Giving people the benefit of the doubt. People could take advantage of us making the wrong decision, but also not making a decision is a decision. If you're half in, half out, or 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you're really not getting anywhere.
Right.
What's scary? What might be scary to you, or what are you afraid of if you were to take a stand for yourself in a new and different way?
Take a stand how?
I don't know. Whatever might be a bold, courageous thing. Maybe leaving, or maybe saying, "Hey, you need to get help." Just showing up differently instead of tolerating your current circumstance.
I mean, I think that is best, but my problem is I always worry about how it will affect the other person. I really tend not to think about myself in a lot of situations that I should.
Why is that?
I'm just a people pleaser. Like I said, I have my own problems, so I don't know if I can deal with his because I have my own.
Well, sometimes what we do is, or what people do is, we latch on to somebody who's got more different problems, so that we don't have to deal with our own problems.
Right.
So it's
I've
easier to
heard
be
of that.
like, yeah. So it's like, look at all these problems that this person has. This is why my life isn't working, because this person has all these problems. As opposed to looking in ourselves and saying, well, what do I need to work on? What needs to be healed here? You've already indicated that you've got, some sort of childhood trauma to work through. Have you done any work on that?
I used to be in therapy when I was younger, but nothing recently. I probably should.
Yeah, maybe that would help you.
Yeah, I do.
Um, well, what do you think is the next best decision for you to move forward in your life?
Well, I really do believe that it is best to leave this relationship, as literally every person in my life or any person that I've asked for perspective on the situation has told me to leave him, including two medical professionals, one being a therapist that was not like professional towards me, but it was a friend, but she is a therapist anyway, and then one being my doctor. So I did go to my sister's, and I'm staying at my sister's currently. So hopefully, just getting some space from him will help me process my emotions better. Because whenever I'm around him, he likes to just loop me back in or change the subject to other things to keep my mind off of other things. So that's why I think it's best to not be around him.
You seem pretty clear on that.
Yes, 'cause I really feel like I've been back and forth on this, like, not trusting him thing, because, like, it's a pretty big deal to me. Of, like, if I ask you not to follow this certain girl or unblock this certain girl on social media, and you continue to do what I tell you not to, then, and it continues to happen multiple times, then I'm just at a point that I can't forgive you anymore. And then I found the porn on top of it. So for me, it just makes it worse.
Yeah. So you're, I mean, just notice you're trying to tell him what he can or can't do, and he's ignoring it. and you're
Yeah,
still
I
trying to do
understand
it.
that that's also not healthy in a relationship to tell a partner what they can and can't do. And, that's another thing I debate about because some women are okay with porn and some women are not. They don't care what you look at as long as you are capable of having sex with them. But it seems like in my relationship, he's come to a point that he's not obviously having sex with me when I want him to, and he's using it when he wants. And even within the last like 2 weeks, that I made him download a blocker app so that he couldn't get on certain browsers. He was having trouble like staying, active in the moment without having been watching something like that. So I think his problem is deeper than what he's telling me.
Well, it for sure is. Porn and sex addiction is not a porn and sex problem. It's a how you deal with life problem.
Right.
So there's always underlying issues that got him to that point, keeps him to that point, and also isn't addressing it for him.
Right, which is it was happening before me, so it's going to continue to I believe it's a problem beyond me, and I'm not able to fix it. At least in the matter of time that is to my liking.
Yeah.
That is good for me.
Well, you said something earlier like you're trying to make a perfect decision or not make the wrong decision, and that can keep you stuck, right? If you make a decision, you can then make a new decision. But not making a decision is like you're really just backsliding if you do that. And you've said it about 10 times since you've been talking to me that you know what the right decision is.
Yeah, because I do, but I
Yeah.
also just I'm wrong for
Well,
like I feel like I'm shaming him or acting like it's a bigger deal than what it is to some people, but it's a
yeah,
big
but
deal to me.
it's a big deal to you, and that's all that matters, right? Whether if he chooses to feel shame over it or disagree, whatever. This is your boundary. Like you're not there for it. If he wants to clean it up, great. Then you can have a different conversation with him, right?
Right.
So, if you were to be, put on a little courage, what would it take for you to make that next decision? And live with the result of it and just say, you know what, there is no such thing as a perfect decision. I'm just going to make the next decision courageously because I want to move forward in my life. And that opens up a lot of possibility.
Right. I don't think it'll like take anything specific. I really tend to do things in the moment, but I also try to give things thought. So that's why I go back and forth.
Yeah. Well, courage. See what it'll take.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for sharing. Bye-bye.
All right.
All right. Like and share, people. Like and share. We're at 7,000 likes. We'll get to 10 soon. You got this, Lexi. Yeah, you got it, Lexi. All right. Hello. How's it going?
Hi,
What's going
I'm
on?
good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Nothing. I was having major PTSD from Lexi's conversation, and I wanted to come in here and I don't know if she's listening, but I was in something very similar to her for 3 years, where, she was telling the guy, don't like the pictures, don't follow this person, and then they say they'll delete social media, which is super dramatic, I think, instead of just like respecting my boundaries. So I hope she actually does what she did, because I stayed because of hope. I stayed because I thought things were gonna get better. And then I found, as she said, like OnlyFans and like porn site chat things. I don't even know. I've never even seen that before in my life. And I kept saying and like forgiving him and being like, yeah, like if you're gonna stop, which he would tell me he was going to, I was like, you know, great. And I kept giving him chances and he would do it again. And then I was like, okay, but they don't ever stop. If they don't want to get help, they're not gonna stop.
So
At
did
all.
you end up leaving?
Yeah, it took me a while, and it took it got to a point where there like police were involved because of a situation because he was doing all of those things on like dating apps and porn sites and OnlyFans, whatever. He then put that on me. He then accused me of doing it. And he would take my phone and break things. And so, like, I eventually got the police involved. So, yes, I did end up leaving. But he actually blamed me for his actions and just, like, flipped the script and said that that was what I was doing.
That's some gaslighting right there.
Yeah, it was incredibly toxic and abusive. But I stayed because I thought that things were gonna get better, and they just got progressively worse. So yes, I am no longer with him, but I stayed for 3 years. It wasn't bad in the beginning, but I just like when she was talking, and she's young, and I was with this guy when I was 22 up until 25. So just I felt like I wasted my time. I mean, I learned a lot from being with this person, but it definitely wasn't like a good relationship because he did have a lot of problems, and it wasn't only with like sex and addiction to just getting attention from other females, whether that was pictures or talking to them or, you know, whatever he was doing. But I
How
just
are you doing now?
I'm all right. I definitely have worked on a lot of stuff, and I definitely need to work on more just because that was a very traumatic experience for me. Just being made to feel that I was the problem when I wasn't, like hearing that over and over again, regardless if you know you're not, just wears you down. So, but I mean, I'm not with him. He did try contacting me, but I'm not tolerating that anymore. I just from anybody, because I can't. I'm too old and just done with everything. So honestly, I really haven't been talking to anyone seriously just because I feel that when anything little happens, they could literally not talk to me properly once and I'll be like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
because like
well,
I don't.
You're taking a stand for yourself. I mean, that
Yeah.
sounds like you're really understanding your own value, your own worth.
Yeah, which this guy really made me do. And so like just listening to Lexi, I was just like, wow. But I'm glad she realized because I didn't even I was so blinded
Yeah.
by a lot. I also just wanted to prove to, you know, other people that, you know, no, like you're saying it's not good for me, but I am like I want to prove that this relationship is good. It was kind of like I don't know, I was like staying in it because I thought that proving people wrong was going
Was
to be
worth it.
beneficial, but
Yeah.
but it didn't end up happening that way. Everybody that was telling me it wasn't good ended up being right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know,
Well,
so
good for you.
I thank you. I've been out of
Yeah.
that for like a year, and it's honestly been great, and I don't tolerate any kind of anything
Bullshit.
from anyone. Yes, bullshit. I don't know if you're allowed to
I
curse
don't
on
either.
TikTok.
We'll find out, I guess. All right. Well, thanks for sharing. Good job, Bella.
Thank you so much. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Way to go. I got to pee. Get this up to, okay, like and share, people. We're almost at 10,000 likes. I'll take another guess when I get back. Un momento. All right. I think this group is good to really hear we're not alone. You are not alone, unique one. Give us your unpopular opinion of the night. What was my last one? My last unpopular opinion? I don't know. I think I said something like there's two genders. It's an unpopular opinion. Am I going to get canceled now? Have I said too much? I don't know. I didn't say that. All right. Who's next? Red Rando. Hi there. How's it going? Hello. Red Rando. Okay. I'm canceled. David Alder. How's it going, man? Okay. Luis?
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
Hey, man. What's going on?
Better than I deserve. I'm just chilling with my dog.
Better than I deserve. Nice.
Yeah, shout out to Dave Ramsey. Anyway, I just it's so I'm 26. I'll be 27 November 1st. My thing with pornography is that I was introduced to it, I think, when I was like 11 or 12. And I've gone through long time of just not watching it. I think the longest I went was probably like 3 years. From what I could pertain to would probably be, I think what kind of helped me was kind of just trying to take advantage of the day, always keeping busy, noting like your progression within this whole thing, and just trying to surround yourself either with like good books, good people, and when you want help, you just go and you just go and get it. Is porn cheating though? Yeah, I agree. I feel like no one should just watch it in general. I feel like it just rots your brain. I feel like you should just surround yourself with the change that you want to become. You know?
Yeah. How old are you now? Did you say that?
I'm 26.
26. All right. Good, man. And how long has it been since you were watching porn?
Like the last time I watched it
Yeah.
was probably like 7-8 months ago.
Good for you, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I would say. I mean, anyone that's addictive or addicted to it, it is a drug. I feel like it really does. There's no really benefit out of it. I feel like you are the consumption of what you want to become. So I feel like stuff like that really is just not good for you
Yeah.
at all. There's no real
Yeah.
benefit for it. So
Yeah. For sure, man.
let me ask you. I don't know your story. I don't know if you probably I could kind of tell you don't watch it. What was probably the biggest token of advice that you wish you heard when you first started wanting to quit?
When I first started wanting to quit,
Yeah.
oh, that's a good question. There's nothing wrong with you. This is going to be a long journey. You're a good man, and your life is worth living better.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Do you think
I,
you
there,
think our yep.
there's so much shame wrapped up in it, and we think we're broken and there's something wrong with us and we can never be fixed. And, it's so much deeper than that. People turn to porn because of a wound that we're trying to medicate from. We're trying to
Yeah.
make the pain go away from a wound by looking at porn and make ourselves feel better for a period of time, which it does. However,
Yeah.
it leaves you feeling emptier than before.
Exactly.
And so
I feel like
it's a long journey. Go ahead.
no, I feel like there's many different aspects to why people lean towards stuff like that. Loneliness, regret, shame, feeling kind of like a lack of self confidence. There's so many different aspects to it. Yeah. I wanted to know. I mean, do you think years without it can really truly either detoxify or cleanse the damages of it?
Well, the brain science suggests that it's a 2 to 5 year process to rewire the brain back to normal after a porn or sex addiction. So absolutely, yes. Now, I mean, there's going to be relational damage that's done, not just from the porn, but,
Yeah.
like for me, I was just an asshole when I was addicted to porn. And so, then the question is, do you go right those wrongs? Do you go apologize and repent to people if you need to or want to, feel led to? Forgive people. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're young. I don't know if you're asking for yourself or just generally, but when you get on the path to living a life of flourishing, more towards creating positive things for yourself and others around you, it's amazing what can happen, as opposed to living a life of negativity and dragging yourself down and taking other people with you. So,
I agree.
yeah, but it's a journey, man. And it does take time for your brain to kind of get back to normal. From the dopamine addiction is essentially what it is.
Let me ask you one last question, and then I'll get out of here. Any token of advice or anything like first steps that you would do for anyone that is thinking about watching it or jumping back into it, or that itch of the moment kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, I would say be curious about why you're wanting to do it. So there's always something going on, some sort of anxiety, depression, fear, unworthiness, unwantedness that leads you towards acting out with any addictive behavior. There's something going on beneath the surface. And so the question is, the invitation is to say, well, what's going on for me to where I think that this is a good idea right now? And then be curious about that. Most oftentimes with the guys I work with, it's anxiety or depression. They're feeling anxious or depressed about something. So then the question is, what am I feeling anxious about? Or what am I depressing about right now? And then work on that. So, I mean, you can talk about all the, behavior modification things like, snap a rubber band on your hand and go for a run, go for a jog. Yeah, all that's fine, but that's not really getting to the root of the issue. and have people you
Like,
can lean on. The opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection with other people. So when you have those moments where you're anxious or depressed or whatever, who can you talk to?
I agree. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I really appreciate your time. Do you go on live often? This is my first time actually being on this stream. So
Yeah, typically about 3 times a week, yeah, around this time, like 9 p.m. to midnight Pacific time. I also am a coach. I do one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching for men struggling with unwanted sexual behavior as well as women dealing with betrayal trauma. So, man, you've been clean for some time, which is awesome. And I've got a great community that can be supportive of you if you want to just further your journey. You can go to link in my bio
I
to
would
check
love
that out.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it on your link or I just DM you or?
You can DM me. It does cost money. It's a pretty nominal fee for what we do in there. But yeah, you can DM me or go to links, schedule a call with me. But yeah, shoot me a DM.
Okay. All right. All right. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you so much. Take care,
Yeah,
man.
man. Nice chatting. Good questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's up, Angela? Good to see you. Saw you there. Krista, saw your comment. Do I do Zoom? Yes, I do Zoom. Everything I do is on Zoom, pretty much. I used to do a lot more in-person stuff, but now this is what I do. I'll get to another guest here. I'm gonna read a little bit from this book, The Betrayal Bind, which is a great book for the betrayed partner. Chapter 5, Shamed If You Do, Shamed If You Don't, Understanding the Shame Bind Created by Betrayal. What does it say about me? This is one of the most common and revealing questions I hear from betrayed partners. What does it say about me that I was cheated on, they ask. What does it say about me that I still love the person who cheated on me? What does it say about me that I want to try to save my relationship? What does it say about me that I've been cheated on before? What does it say about me that I want to leave the relationship? Is something wrong with me? Am I sick, codependent, weak? Many questions hide in one. At the heart of these questions is a feeling of shame. This shame latches on to how we feel about ourselves. Shame attaches to our hearts and taints our most significant relational longings, desires, needs, hopes, and wants with self-doubt, critical judgment, and insecurity. This shame haunts us, dogging our steps and making us question our decisions about ourselves and our relationship over and over again. I call this attachment shame because it is a very specific type of shame felt by betrayed partners. It is shame about our experience of connection and disconnection with the person who hurt us and violated our trust. Attachment shame is woven throughout the experience of attachment ambivalence, unconsciously driving the betrayed partner's emotions and behaviors. Shame is relational. In her book, Understanding and Treating Chronic Shame, Patricia DeYoung describes shame as a phenomenon that occurs when we experience relational disconnection in a moment of need. DeYoung says shame is the experience of self in relation when in relation is ruptured or disconnected. Yeah, Krista, just buy the book. This book is so freaking good on betrayal. Okay. It's honestly like it can be very heady. There's a lot packed in here, but it is such a good book. As a result, shame is not an individual phenomenon. It is a relational dynamic that occurs between two people. DeYoung states shame is not seen as an individual's response to a painful stimulus sequence, but as what happens in the interaction between one person's effective relational need and another person's response to the need. In short, shame is essentially a two-person experience. If we understand that shame is fundamentally a relational dynamic, then we next need to define shame. While we all instinctively know what shame is because we have felt it at one point or another, it is still helpful to define it. DeYoung defines shame as an experience of one's felt sense of self disintegrating in relation to a dysregulating other. Like I said, very heady this book can be. She defines it as an experience of one's felt sense of self disintegrating in relation to a dysregulating other. By talking about a, quote, felt sense of disintegrating, DeYoung is describing the internal collapse, fragmentation, and disorganization that the body experiences when relational disconnection and the resulting shame occur. This definition focuses on the fact that shame starts in the body with pre-verbal and unconscious bodily-based responses that happen before our feelings are recognized and given the name or meaning of shame by our rational mind. This is important because sometimes we experience shame and are unaware of it. The body experiences the disintegration of self, but our mind does not bring this experience into conscious awareness. When this happens, shame can drive our reactions and behaviors without us knowing or understanding its role. I'll pause there. This is The Betrayal Bind. Fantastic book. If you've been betrayed or you want to learn more. All right. I'll go back to the book in just a little bit. I used to read books on here quite a bit, like a long time ago. And one of my longtime viewers reminded me of how fun it was to do that. So thank you. Please show the cover one more time. The Betrayal Bind. I should keep the reading job? Would it should keep what? You should keep the reading up? I don't know. All right. I'll go back to it in a minute. You think I should do voice audiobooks? Thanks. If anyone wants to hire me to read their audiobook, I'd love to. Timmy, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, man? Good evening.
Good evening.
So, like, I was kind of attracted to the question on your screen because I think in a lot of ways it's kind of out of accord.
Will you hold on real quick?
Uh-huh.
Hey, Sarah, if you would you look at the DM I sent you? I don't know if you saw that, but I messaged you back, and I'd love for you to read that if you would. All right, Timmy. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's absolutely no problem, man. So I was kind of curious about the question on the screen and the fact that I think that in a lot of ways it's kind of out of accord with what the actual topic that's being discussed is. Okay, so and because I'm pedantic about the way language is used, if you say, is porn cheating? I think to a large extent, cheating is a variable thing based upon the expectation of your individual partner. So if a person has a partner that thinks that hugging is cheating, for all intents and purposes, within the context of that relationship, hugging is cheating. Whereas if you had a partner on the opposite end of the scale that believed that there were no bounds, you wanted to be a swinger and so forth, within the context of that relationship, anything goes and it would not be cheating. So I think that there's a variable line from relationship to relationship, and just leaving that question up there kind of diminishes the topic, which I think is more appropriately, is it healthy to watch porn, and can you maintain healthy relationships while maintaining some sort of porn viewing? So that was just my observation, just because of the way that I define things.
Totally. So first of all, I 100% agree. And I agree that it depends on what the people in the relationship agree to. I would disagree though. It's not just if I think hugging is cheating, it's then cheating if you hug somebody. It's if we agree that hugging is cheating.
Agreed.
Right? So it comes to the agreement, not the opinion of one person.
Correct.
Right.
So like if your partner comes to you and says, in my emotional opinion, and what makes me feel safe and comfortable within this relationship, you ought not be hugging people. You, as the partner, are perfectly free to go, I'm not willing to, to go and abide by that, because I can't go my life without giving a hug, and you're free to leave. But if you elect to stay with that person, that's agreement, at least in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I agree, man. And I'm assuming you just stumbled upon here. I get the same, kind of line of thinking 5 or 10 times a night where people come in here and try to do this mic drop thing where they're like, well, it depends on what you agree. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. If you didn't agree to it in the relationship, then it's not cheating.
Yeah.
So we're here to create conversation, right? But I do agree that I think at the heart of the question, and this is, again, where I typically get to with people is it useful to watch pornography or not, period, whether you're in a relationship or not.
Yeah. And for the vast majority of people, I would say no. That's, so it's fair to kind of blanket it.
I'll be honest with you. I've had this same prompt for a long time, and I always think about what might a different or better prompt be, although this one is very good for creating conversation, which is what my goal is. But what you said is actually a pretty good alternative, is What? Can you say it again?
Is it healthy or in any way conducive to a happy relationship? I tend to be long-winded, so like
Yeah.
it's a long ass sentence, but that's kind of the gist of it. Like, can you have
Which
a
is
healthy
again why
relationship?
this prompt really works,
Yeah,
because it's 3 words.
right. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
can you maintain a healthy relationship while simultaneously watching porn? You know,
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah. That's a good prompt. But it's very long.
yeah, you know, I'd like uh, uh, I mean, like, and the whole porn topic is always interesting to me because I do agree that for the vast majority of people, you know, no, there's no way that you can properly maintain the both. But the thing is, there's also like this weird kind of line of hyperbole that people go down with, where, you know, kind of like, you know, like if you start watching vanilla man woman type things, then you're at some point going to be so resistant to that dopamine hit that soon enough you're going to be watching midgets and horses. And like, I don't believe that chain of progression is real, you know, or at least for most people.
Well, it actually, I mean, maybe not midgets and horses, but
Yeah.
it's not uncommon, man. I mean, it really does escalate. You know, something I say a lot, I believe, is porn use always escalates. Now, what do I mean by escalate? Well, it can be the frequency, the duration, where you're watching, when you're watching, who you're watching with, what you're watching. Can escalate into physical cheating, but it does always escalate to something else. And generally speaking, over the long term, the type of pornography does tend to get more and more risque. And that's, I think, how people do get into those fringe categories, right? Now animals are involved. Okay, well, it happens.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Like, it's always possible that, you know, that other people are just drastically different than me. But like, you know, but like, if I look at my own progression through my life, you know, like, probably about 9 or 10 years old, I figured out that bumping into a wall felt pretty good, you know, but I had no connection to what that actually tied into, you know, and probably learned about the M topic shortly thereafter. And then
hmm
probably by about 12, 13 years old, I started making the connection, okay, well, what I'm doing here has a correlation to this other thing that I'm learning about, you know. And
yeah,
then at that point you start noticing other people, and your first consumption of porn, at least within the context of me, was basically just kind of a visual aid for what I would have been picturing in my mind otherwise, you know, and over time, because of the fact that I'm in a relationship and I recognize that that wouldn't be healthy within my relationship, so I don't indulge. But that's the reason why I say, you know, like, if I were to again, it wouldn't be midgets and horses or anything incredibly bizarre. It would be like some attractive brunette or redhead, you know, you know, that was fit. I mean, that's pretty much what I would be gravitating toward, you know. So, which probably would have been the same thing that I would have been gravitating toward at 13 years old. So, like, I don't see this massive progression toward the bizarre, you know, at least within my own sphere.
sure, yeah. And I mean, the thing is, it may start there, and again, I would just make the assertion it probably would escalate to something else. And I leave that vague on purpose because the else doesn't
Yeah.
have to be, it doesn't have to be more bizarre type of content, to use your words, right?
Yeah.
It can be the frequency, it can be, you know, all those other things I mentioned earlier. But yeah, I mean, it generally it starts with your arousal template, like what initially is getting you aroused, and then as the dopamine center of your brain gets more and more jacked up, then you just have to continue pushing the envelope in order for it to stay interesting, and that's where the escalation happens.
Yeah.
So,
Well, good deal. I
uh,
mean, that's all that I had to say.
yeah,
You know,
no, I appreciate it, man. It's a good, you know, I like the way you're approaching that. I appreciate the feedback.
cool.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, thanks for having me on. Have a good
yeah.
night and wonderful live to watch. So thank you.
Thanks, man. Yep. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
That guy was so polite. Appreciate you. All right. Hello, Dark. That kid you asked if I'm going to be live Sunday. I I make no promises with my lives. Um, I I don't think he was necessarily disagreeing. He was very philosophical, which I appreciate. I typically do go live on Sunday nights. We'll just say that. Sunday night's a night where I really want to. Once I moved to my new space downstairs, we converted our office into a little studio for me. Once I do that, I'm going to like really formalize a lot of stuff here. I also need to figure out, I did like his voice too. I need to figure out, well, that's a separate topic, but how do I make this like an actual show to where I can have guests come on outside of TikTok? If anybody knows how to do that, like, I don't know how to even go about that. Do I need like an agency, like a legit agency or something to help turn this into a real thing? Discord can work. Yeah, that's true. But if it's Discord, how do I get the word out, you know? I have a Discord server, but TikTok is great, but also TikTok might get shut down in January. So yeah, podcast format would be good. But a podcast, it's people don't like call in. A lot of what I do here is people are calling in, so to speak, on TikTok. Yeah. I am live streaming now too. Typically I'll go on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. But I mean, like right now I have one person watching on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure it's my other phone right here. I have 2 people watching on YouTube. Is anybody actually watching on YouTube? What the heck? Why am I flagged for hate speech? Oh my gosh. Who did that? I'll appeal it. That's so dumb. And then on Twitch, I have one person watching, which is also probably myself. How was that hate speech? It's probably because I was talking about other platforms and TikTok views that as hateful. Calling through Skype. Oh yeah, Skype. But again, it's how do people know? I'll post you in your Reddit groups. Okay. I saw your message, Sarah. Thank you. Yeah, I'll reply back when I'm done here. Just make sure you look, okay? All right, let's bring someone else on here. You can't talk about other apps? Really? Is that a thing? Oh, the group was so good, Krista. It was fantastic. Heather's amazing. Street interview. I did that in Vegas once, which was awesome. I should do that again. I really should. I mean, I live in Phoenix. ASU's in my backyard, Arizona State. I could get so much good content there. Oh my gosh. Anybody here from ASU? I went to ASU. I mean, gosh, I would have a field day down there. Oh man. Yeah, I think I want to start streaming on the Green app too, Rumble. But all right, let's bring a guest on. Yeah, I did a college talk like 6 months ago. Cowboy Bunny Beep. Love that name. You also don't have to have any. I know you don't have to have followers, but part of what, I mean, I can do like pre-scripted content and reading books and all that. That doesn't require user engagement, but I love the user engagement aspect of this. You look at the whatever podcast, I mean, what makes their content is by having those people who come in and sit at the table, right? So that's what I want to figure out is how do I have something like that where I can keep people coming in, whether it's in real life or online, that's not exclusively to TikTok. Though I love TikTok Shop, all the things. Have you been on BOGO? I don't know what BOGO is. Pradeep. I love how everybody knows Pradeep. I still can't decide if he's a troll or not. I kind of don't care, though, because he's amazing. Coach. Oh, he's great. It's just like TikTok. Who did somebody want me to let on? Whatever, I'm just going to go down the list. He's probably still trying to talk to his wife. He was scared. Coach, the goats are sleeping. Oh, Pradeep, where are you at, man? I wonder if I followed him. I'd love to be able to talk to you today and possibly get some advice for help. All right, Alex, I'll bring you on. Did you request? All right, here we go. Sherry, how's it going? The chickens are out of the bag. That was so good. Hi there. Oh, a real person. I love when I can talk to a real person.
Hi.
Are you 18 or over?
Yeah, I'm 21.
Okay, cool.
I moved
Hi there.
here.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. What's up?
So my situation is kind of long. I've been in a relationship with my boyfriend currently for about 4, maybe 5 years now. We got in a relationship just out of high school, and it's been a very bumpy start with this whole porn and cheating area. In the very beginning, he said he wasn't able to just be with me, so he wanted freedom to sleep with other people. And me being young and naive and just wanting him, I let that happen. And then it got to a point where I was done with it, and he was able to stop. But ever since then, he constantly watches. I find that he will follow other people on Instagram that post explicit content. And I've brought it up to him many times that I'm not comfortable with him either following or watching those sorts of things. And he says it's not a big deal because he doesn't think of it that way. And when I brought up the idea to him that, like, if I watch it and I'm getting off to the view of another man, you wouldn't like it. And his thing was, well, yeah, when women cheat, it's with their hearts, but when men cheat, it's just with their, and it means nothing. Yeah, and it means nothing to them. And he always brushes it off. And, like, it's gotten to a point where, like, one Valentine's Day, like, I made him breakfast, and he pushed it off, and he literally went and closed the door in the bathroom and did his thing. And he does that a lot still. He'll either lock the door to our bedroom or go in the bathroom. But for me, I try so hard to ignore how I'm feeling because we have a daughter now. And I want to do as less arguments as possible because I don't want my daughter growing up around arguments. But he still refuses the fact that, like, it hurts my feelings, if that makes sense. Like, he doesn't want to accept that I don't like that he does that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not sure what else to say to him other than, like, the million times I've cried because I feel useless. And we have a relationship where you can ask and it's going to happen. Like, there's not a no, really. But he still will just be mad at me, ignore me, and do it, and then come back like nothing happened.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sorry you're in that situation. It sounds really tough, and I'm sure it's very painful with dealing with that. What boundaries have you set, or do you want to set with him?
Well, the boundaries that I've set, I mean, he doesn't necessarily not allow me to set boundaries, but he won't necessarily listen to them most of the time because he'll always come up with an excuse. Like if I say, hey, I don't really want you talking to your female coworkers, because most of the time I'll be on the phone with him when he's at work, and he'll just be like, oh, I don't think of them that way. Like, it doesn't matter if they're flirting with me. I'm just bored at work talking. Or he'll purposely, like, I tell him not to flirt with people, and he'll still be like, well, I get, like, cheaper stuff when I flirt with people that are working when I'm buying something, or stuff like that. And, like, he'll purposely look at people in front of me and be like, dang, she's cute. And, like, I've personally set boundaries of, like, at least don't say it to me, don't, no, but he'll still do it. But the boundaries he set, I've listened to. Like, I have no male friends. I, like, don't. Because I try to be as respectful as possible, and I understand the feeling that it gives you when someone's like, oh, screw that, I'm going to have a male friend anyways. But he's a very old-time mindset. Like, I'm a housewife, and he works. And he thinks that, like, what he's doing isn't wrong, and I should just go with that because it's not wrong in his head. And I don't know how to flip that switch for him.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think it's wrong?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you want to be different?
I at least want him to understand my point of view and, if possible, stop watching it and see if that makes anything different for us. Like, at least for like a few weeks. Like, just take a break and see what happens, you know? But,
What do you imagine would be different for you?
um, I think we would have a stronger connection mentally and as well physically. It wouldn't just feel like one of the videos he's watching is happening. And I feel like it would possibly be more enjoyable for him mentally and physically because I wouldn't be in my head like, oh, I look nothing like them. He's just visioning something else. I feel ugly and stupid. And I'd be more in connection with him. And I feel like that would show him, like, oh, this is way better. But I don't know how to get him to make that transition.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's tough, and he might not. Right? So, the interesting thing with boundaries is boundaries are the way I like to explain it. Boundaries are a declaration of what your action will be, what your behavior will be if a request that you make of somebody isn't honored. Right? So saying I don't want you to watch porn or you need to stop watching porn is not a boundary. Right? It's like a wish. So, but to actually put your foot down and say, hey, I'd like for you to stop watching porn. Here's what I will do if I discover that you're still watching it. Right? And well, does he think he has a problem with porn?
I don't know. The thing is, sometimes he'll be like, yeah, I know I used to have a problem, but he doesn't view it as he has a problem anymore because he watches it less than he used to. And he doesn't eat, so it's not leading to
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah. So maybe at one point he thought he had a problem, but not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you have a kid, so it obviously makes it more complex, and it sounds like you rely on him financially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he there? Can we get him on?
No, he's not. And he would hate that. So,
Okay. Is he at work?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what are you wanting to do?
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of wanting to open his eyes a bit, and if not, then really put my foot down and try to like make money for myself. Like, I currently am a tattoo artist, but I'm not making that much, so I can't up and leave if needed. And like, I would want my daughter with me because we did separate for a little bit, and he had people over around my daughter that was not okay. So it'd be a whole complicated process, which is why I'm so stuck and like just deal with it because I can't think of a way to get everything sorted out for myself.
Yeah, totally. And I don't know what the answer is for you. Okay, it's a really tough situation, right? However, like I was talking to a few guests ago, I don't know if you heard, but taking some sort of action in the right direction is better than just staying stuck and feeling powerless. Right. And what is that action? I'm not suggesting you need to leave. Right. There's many possibilities that you can take between those. Right. But one is like if you're really wanting to make this work, which it sounds like you are, it sounds like you like him and you want to have a family for your child to grow up around. How can you really just like educate him? Say, hey, this is a problem, and put your foot down. Say, I will not tolerate this anymore. Like, this is not good for us. This is not good for you. This is not good for our child. You don't say it like this, but like, you got to get some help or else this isn't going to work because it's only going to get worse and worse. And you have to have that kind of intensity with it to catch his attention. Not that it should be your responsibility, but here you are. Or differently put, why are you tolerating it? And what would it look like for you to stop tolerating it and speak up what you're really wanting to say to him?
Yeah, I know why I'm tolerating it. I'm tolerating it because I feel like it's all I can do at the moment to kind of keep the peace. But also, if I speak up, I can see it going two ways. Maybe one, like, maybe he'll actually listen to me, or the other way is he'll just get upset and then blame me for being too emotional and brush it off under the rug.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
not sure. I just want to come on here and talk about it, because sometimes talking out loud helps things.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, talking out loud always, I mean, in most cases helps be able to gain altitude on a situation and move forward. Who else do you have in your life who's, you can talk to about this, or you can support you through this?
Maybe like one other person. I kind of in a position where I'm always home, so I don't really talk to people. It's just my daughter and I, and then I'm taking care of his dogs or cooking or cleaning or whatever around the house. So I've kind of put myself in this own position of having no one. But that's definitely why I came on here too, because I most likely would not have if I had other people. But yeah.
What's your family situation? Are you connected to your parents, or do you have any siblings?
Or I have a sibling. She's way too young to understand. She's 12.
Yeah.
I have a restraining order against my dad. None of his family talks to me, and my mom has mental issues, so I don't talk to her. So it's a very solo bubble situation. I mean, sometimes I am able to talk to his family because they are the people that are closest to me, but his dads will be like, "Oh, sorry to hear that, but that's my son. Can't really do anything." And then anyone else in his family will either be like, "Well, just leave him," or they'll be like, "Well, I don't want to hear about it. That's your guys' stuff." Kind of just stuck, stuck in the middle.
Yeah. Well, you said you have like one person you can talk to.
Yeah.
How old's your baby?
She just turned 1 in July.
Okay. Do you have any community with like moms groups, things like that?
No, I've been trying to find it, but I kind of gave up on that because I'm trying to push my tattoo business further out. So my mind's been kind of everywhere else except helping myself, if that makes sense. Kind
Yeah.
of. So I will definitely try to find him now, because now I'm talking and realizing how anxious I am.
Well, yeah, I can see it. You're shaking, and you're doing great, by the way. Okay, it's a tough situation. All right, you're so young. You're pretty isolated and lonely. It sounds like, and you feel like there's nowhere to go, and you're wanting so much more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I appreciate you talking to me. I understand you probably have like 20 people waiting, so I don't want to take away their time, because lots of people probably have important stuff to them to talk about too.
Alex,
Yeah.
it's such a nice thing for you to say. Oh, let's not look at what's going on for me. Let's just, everybody else is more important than me.
Bit. I mean, I understand I'm important too, but I'm genuinely an empathic person, so I want other people to get help, definitely. I'm working on not putting them first, but it's still a path. But I know other people on here, I've seen it, have said, "Oh, I need help with certain things too," and I see where they're coming from, so I know that they should get their time too, other than just me sitting on here and yapping your ear off.
Yeah. I mean, are you reading the comments?
A bit, yeah. I try to.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, I don't know what the path here is for you, but are you open to hearing from another person?
Yeah, I'm not against anything.
Okay. The problem is people generally just give terrible advice. Where are my people at? Sherry, are you here still? Oh, great. Sherry's here. I'm so glad Sherry's here. Hi, Sherry.
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm all right. I would maybe go video, but I'm still in my Chiefs jersey and still
You're
celebrating
still
tonight.
riding that high. Yeah,
Yes, I am. We won by a toe. So,
I know. I saw the
hi,
end. It was
Alex.
crazy.
Hi, Alex. I've been on this live a few times with Austin, and just immediately taken to the whole topic. And I'm a psychologist out of Kansas City, actually, and so. And I've been in a few situations like you, and I'm so glad that the chat is being friendly to you, because I think a lot of times in these situations, you get folks that feel really bad for the person in your shoes, and they're like, "Girl, leave him. Girl, bye. Get out of there. Run fast." And it's just really not that easy, like you're saying. It's so hard when you've got a baby with somebody, because you're not just breaking up a relationship, but also a family.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked with a lady about this, I don't know, if maybe a week or so ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think the best advice I can give you, I've worked with some patients in the same situation, is to establish a vision for yourself. If you don't feel like this is ever going to change, or if you're seeing that this is probably a chronic issue, and it's something that you're not willing to have in your life, it's all understandable. I think you got to establish a vision for yourself and start putting together the pieces to make it happen. But try not to feel the pressure to do anything right now. It might take you a couple of years, but if you're putting one foot in front of the other every single day, you're moving towards that vision. And hopefully you can get yourself out of it if that's what you end up wanting to do. I don't know if there's any therapy groups or any local therapists, but sometimes I know, like, my job as a therapist is I kind of serve as like a hand holder, or someone to just kind of help an abused or any woman that feels like she's a victim of a situation and wants to escape it. We help them kind of establish a plan that's just very strategic and step by step to exit a situation that they don't want to be in. So that might be another option too, is reaching out to a group of therapists, or somebody in your what area of town are you, or what area of the country are you in?
California area.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Alex?
A lot of valid points. Definitely some things I've thought of before. I am currently looking for a therapist, but again, the thing with money is, like, it's difficult to find someone that'll take just straight Medi-Cal, because I have no other source of, like, oh yeah, I can just pay a therapist. So it's definitely going to be a search. I just find myself getting drained too easily trying to find help for myself, because I put all my effort into my daughter and my family and trying to do what I can. So I end up leaving little room for myself to get what I need done for me mentally, or stuff like that. So it's definitely something I have to work on.
Yeah, I think another lie that we sell ourselves to is that we are financially dependent upon them, and that if we do leave, it's going to be, costing us X amount. I mean, I know a lot of women that have ended up leaving situations and they're actually financially better. I mean, there's a little bit of a hiccup initially, but then over time, it just ends up being a way better scenario. And they're like, gosh, dang, I wish I would have done this so much sooner. But it's very scary, and it's not something that you do impulsively, or you need to feel pressure to do. Just take your time.
Yeah. I'll definitely start putting more effort to myself, but I've always known that it does take time, and it is a gradual step process. I think I find myself getting frustrated too easily with the fact that he won't listen.
Mm-hmm.
I need to take both of your guys' words and just kind of either set a direct boundary and putting my foot down, or just ease into it and be like, hey, like, I'm getting to the point where I'm like being really uncomfortable with certain things, and that's why I'm getting agitated and stuff like that. I just think I'm stuck in my own mind of being upset. I'm worried that he'll be upset because I've had a lot of people in the past and parent trauma and just a lot of PTSD situations where I spoke up for myself and I got shut down, or it was just a way worse situation. So I definitely hold back because I just get scared. I get into fight or flight mode, and I'd rather just flight than fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, and we talked about this last time too, is you have to keep your worth in check and know your worth, because it is saying, almost selling yourself short, living a life where this is an acceptable way, and it's acceptable for him to get up from the bed and go into the bathroom or go over wherever the hell he went and handle his own business. It's such a slap in the face, and it's just saying you have no value to me. And this family has no value to me.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not trying to pressure you to go do something about it now, because that's not, you don't throw, I don't want to throw you a brick when you feel like you're already overwhelmed and drowning at all. But it is just something that to kind of tuck away, just in the back of your mind. Like, I have to learn my worth. And I think one thing that helps us know our worth is like our support group. Because sometimes, even in my worst moments as a woman, I'm 46 now, and I've been through some stuff in my days, but man, I have a tribe of women that stand behind me when I can't stand myself. And it's the greatest feeling in the world, because they can always, help me fix my crown, for lack of better words. And I know that they're there. And that's what you need. And I'm so sad to hear that you don't have much of a family. But we need to probably find you one, and start surrounding yourself with people that can remind you of your worth and that you have value just because you are, not because of anything you do.
Yeah. I will definitely work on finding my worth. And yeah, I do agree that having people behind your family is important. Definitely felt the fact that because I lack one, or I used to have one, my family and I used to be close, and then it was a dramatic drop close to when my partner and I got together. So I definitely felt the difference, and I will probably reach out and try to find a group of some sort of family feeling from people that I know that is beneficial. I don't know. I like I said, I haven't put much effort into it just because sometimes I think like, oh, maybe it's not that important. I just need to focus on other things that are. So it is definitely something that I need to work on personally.
Yeah. It's okay. Just make your vision and try to come up with, and sounds like so cringy, I know, because young people, you guys are like, oh my God, here you old people go talking about a vision board. But it's kind of a cool thing when you just like put your face or put your name in the middle of a piece of paper and just start making bubbles out to the side, like, physical health, mental health, career-wise, parenting-wise, like, where do I see myself? Where's my vision? Where do I want to go? And then just start slowly chipping away one goal at a time.
Yeah, I honestly haven't thought of a vision board before that, honestly.
No, man, they're so cheesy, but I've grown up on them, and they really do help, because you hold yourself accountable when you write it down and you can see it with your eyes every day.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't think it's cheesy. I'm also a very open-minded person, so you could say the most cheesy thing and I'd be like, oh yeah, actually, maybe.
You sound like you're just way too good for him, honey.
I've actually gotten that from his family too, which is crazy that you said that. But I appreciate you both of you taking time to talk to me and being willing to hear me out and try to give me your advice. That is definitely something I was looking for, so I greatly appreciate it from both of you a ton.
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Alex.
Of course.
Yeah. Thanks for your bravery.
Yep, you got this.
I hope you guys have a great night. I hope everyone else gets the help that they need. I also want to say one thing because I saw someone comment. I just want to say people can request to follow me, and I'll accept it just because finding a group is helpful. So that's all I wanted to say before I said bye and have a good night.
Yeah. All right. Take care, Alex. Thanks for sharing.
You too. Good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, Sherry.
What's up?
Thanks for sharing.
You know what? This, like, I don't know if this is a direction you want to take this in, but it's so interesting to hear some of the, like, mom wounds of a lot of these people. And I know you have one yourself, and I'm not saying putting you on the spot and say talk about it, but I mean, sometimes it might be interesting to hear just how that played into.
Oh shit! You want to therapize me on this?
No.
I'm happy to talk about it. Yeah, I mean, mother wounds are the real deal. That's for sure. Yeah. What? I'm open. What do you want to ask me?
Put you
How do
on
you want to take
blast.
that?
Well,
Yeah.
so can you tell some of the folks your story, because I know little bits and pieces of it, but
Yeah.
maybe just for the people that don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm 39 years old, and when I was 32, I thought I was struggling from a porn problem, which I was, I guess. But I realized I was struggling from a trauma problem, particularly relating to the death of my mother when I was 5 years old. She died in a plane crash. She was a pilot. And so she died when I was
really?
5. Yeah, like 30 days before I started kindergarten.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, so July of 1990. And I start kindergarten, and, here we are. So I got a stepmom when I was 7. And really didn't, as I've unpacked my life and talked to my dad, who passed about 5 years ago before he died, really just realized I had this massive wound and this question that I still have to deal with to this day, which is, am I loved? Does anybody love me? Did I have a mom who loved me? And it's just, it's like the story of my life to try to, tend to that wound. And when I was young, my dad, bless his heart, didn't really get help in terms of therapy or psychological support for my sister and I. I mean, don't blame him. He was a doctor, a medical doctor. He was a smart guy, but they didn't have that kind of support for us, aside from a very strong family community, which we did have. But as I've unpacked my life, it's like, well, I found porn, or porn found me when I was roughly 11 years old, 10, 11, 12 years old. And, there's always a reason why we look at the type of porn we do. And it's like, I realize that I watch this porn because I'm trying to satisfy this wound in my life of attention, affection, love from a woman that I didn't have when I was young, because it got cut short.
Wow.
And so, now I can draw a straight line to my mom dying to having an affair. It's no surprise. It's like I'm just trying to find love. So
Did you do any grief work after her death? Like, I know I say
Nothing.
back then lightly just because you're younger than I am even, but I know growing up, it just wasn't something that you would reach out and get therapy for, or any, grief support for. It was just like kind of muster through. And
yeah, I mean, I really, I was so young, so obviously I couldn't, take that initiative myself. And I always wondered that, like, I did ask my dad that. He said basically the counsel and wisdom he got, and again, you got to realize he was a grieving widow at that point with 2 young children trying to start a medical practice. Yeah, I don't think he knew what to do because he was trying to grieve through that. But basically what he told me was just, he tried to surround ourselves, my sister and I, by a good, positive family support system, which he did. We had a lot of people around, some of whom were psychologists and therapists, and people in the church, and we were in churches a lot growing up, but we never did, to my knowledge, anything intentionally around grief work or counseling or anything like that as a kid. I mean, I saw a therapist for my first time when I was 32 years old.
Wow.
And I mean, heck, last night I was doing a grief workshop, so I still do this stuff. um, like there's grief just comes and goes in waves, but no, as a kid, I didn't do any of that.
Yeah, life is grief. It's just various types of grief and letting go of things that we really enjoyed and liked, and we have to, let them go.
Yeah.
What about as a 5-year-old? Like, what led you to wonder if your mom, loved you? Did you have memories of her, or
Yeah, I mean,
can you remember the first?
I really don't. Like, I was 5, my sister was 7. My sister has more memories than I do. I really don't have that many, if any, firsthand memories. I've seen pictures and videos of my mom. I mean, the thing is, like, my mom was amazing from what I have learned, what I
Yeah,
know.
she
I
sounds
mean,
like a badass.
yeah, she was a pilot. She was Miss North Dakota in 1970. You can look her up.
Oh wow!
She was a touring musician. She toured all across Europe and singing and playing piano and all that stuff. So she was amazing. And she was, some of the pictures I have with my mom is literally her flying a plane and me sitting on her lap as like a 3-year-old flying the
Oh,
plane
how
with her.
cute!
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like she was this adventurous, she would fly to Mexico all the time, with friends and with our family, and just, kind of like goes by the beat of her own drum kind of person. And again, it must have been awesome as a little kid, as a little boy, right? And then she died. One day she didn't come home. It's interesting, some of the grief work I've done. The day she died, my sister and I were at some friends of ours' houses, and he actually is a psychologist. And they're old now because they're, around my parents' age, like mid to late 70s. And I actually, a couple of years ago, I reached out to them and I said, hey, you're some of the few people left on this planet who knew both my parents when they were alive, myself and my sister, and are still living, and I can talk to them about it. So I took him out to lunch, he and his wife, and said, tell me about that day. Like, who was there? What was it like? What did it smell like? What were we eating? When my dad came home and told you guys, like, what was all going on there? I didn't learn anything new that I didn't necessarily know, but I got to talk to people who were actually there and ask them questions, about what my mom was like leading up to that. And then what my dad was like, as he walked through the door and had to go tell his 2 children that their mom died and take us home. It's like, gosh, what do you do?
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And so that's like that for me, that's a grieving exercise, right? It's like, I want to make this real, right? I want to make this a reality. Yeah, just like a month ago, I reached out to another friend of my dad's who's 89 years old. Same thing.
Wow.
I said, hey, let's just talk about this. And it was great just to hear from his perspective and, what was my family life really like back then? Because I think as kids, we can have this idealistic view of our parents, which is never reality, right? But
True.
to actually talk to people made it more real. So, that's kind of some of the grief work that I still do. And again, porn is never the issue. It's always a result of another wound beneath the surface. You just got to access that wound and then be courageous enough to dive into it, explore it so that you can heal from it.
Wow. Yeah. It's interesting because I think we have those traumas, and just from my own, and this a little bit after talking to me, just seems like traumatic things happen to us when we're kids, and sometimes they're huge traumas and they're very deep wounds, like the death of a parent, for instance. Other times it's just certain scenarios, and I think we formulate those scripts about ourselves and about the world, and they kind of just stay on this ticker tape that keeps running and running, and it seeks to be confirmed, throughout our lives.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think having somebody to kind of walk and guide you through that is really good. And suddenly, like, you can see this light bulb just come on. It's like, oh, this goes all the way back to then,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And that's what, for me, it's so relieving to be able to connect those dots, right? It's like, yeah, the porn is a problem. The affairs are a problem, obviously, but let's try to figure out why. You know, like I was a kid who I felt so different and alone. Not having a mom, I mean, there's obviously all sorts of traumas, but not having a parent when you're in school and having to answer the question of like, when is your mom coming to
Wow.
pick you up?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I hated that question.
Mm-hmm.
How do I answer that? She's dead. Like, what do you say? What does a 5, 6, 7-year-old say to that? There's like
Mm-hmm.
no good answer to say that another child that age knows how to respond with empathy and compassion, generally speaking. I mean, adults don't
Well,
even know
and
how to respond to that.
that's true. And a 5 or a 6-year-old doesn't know how to care for the emotions of the adult that's hearing that. Like, my mom
Yeah.
died in a plane crash, and it's like,
Yeah.
what
You
do
want
I
a
even say to
lollipop?
a
It's like, what do
5-year-old?
you say?
Yeah.
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 And so
So,
that's why, you mentioned the script rerun. So one of my scripts was don't talk about this because people can't handle it. People can't handle the
oh
pain.
yeah.
And I was
Or
probably
my
right
emotion,
to form that script.
or something. Yeah, yeah. Or another one might be, and I don't know because I don't know your scripts. You'll know them yourself, but another one might be like, my emotions are, or people are incapable of handling my emotions.
Yeah.
Or I can bring my deep emotions to other people or be very vulnerable, really vulnerable with somebody, and they're not going to know how to handle it.
Yeah. Totally. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that
And so I think,
sticks with people, stuck with me for sure.
yeah, and I think like if it's the feeling of, feeling unwanted or rejected by a spouse, it starts to, swirl the drain
Hmm.
where it's people on a screen that actually offer you nothing, but a shroud, really.
Well, yeah, they give you momentary pleasure that makes the pain go away. And it really does a good job at that
Hmm.
for a short period. Right. And then you feel emptier afterwards.
If there was like, if your mom could come into the chat or like hang out with us just for like 5 minutes, what would you ask her?
Oh gosh, Sherry. Oh man. I mean, the question for me is like, I just want to hear you say you love me. Do you love me? That's what I'd say. I want to be held and embraced by her.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it.
Yeah. I think as like a mom, man, if that was my son, like I would just want him to know, like, man, I'm watching you, I'm never far. And I
Yeah.
used to hold you at night, put you to sleep.
Hmm.
Or sometimes you have to connect with that spirit that's still her, but it's still in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I was Googling my mom on her birthday like a couple months ago, and which unfortunately that's what I have to do to like learn stuff about her. And I came across some um, recording of hers from like the 70s or something like that. And I listened to it.
Wow.
I was sitting in the middle of a coffee shop, like mourning the loss of my mom, at 10 in the morning. And I'm hearing I'm hearing her voice that's pretty foreign to me. And I don't even know what the words were. It didn't matter, but just hearing, I feel like it did bring up something for me as a kid, just hearing the pitches and the tone of her voice. It just like, I was like losing my mind in the middle of this coffee shop, just crying, just
Mm-hmm.
hearing her voice. and it was so comforting and soothing to me, and it made my heart ache for her, for the little boy that that I was when I lost her. But
Yeah, I think sometimes, we forget you actually grew in her body. And that's like a spiritual connection. Even though it's so physical, it's still a very spiritual connection that doesn't go away even though she's in another place.
yeah,
I have a really good YouTube video I can send you where if you can do some guided imagery, and like just it's almost like you have to meditate yourself, and you can go and be in this white room, and she comes in and you can ask her this stuff. And what I've noticed about my own grief journey is like I don't physically have this person here anymore, but I know her answers because they're in my heart, and I like keep them in my actual spirit because we were joined at the spirit at one point, and it's my only thought. And so I know I can connect through her spirit, and we connect through our hearts and our spirit instead of sitting down over a glass of wine and talking shit.
totally.
So
Yeah, send it to me. I've done similar things like that, like those, exercises where you imagine you're in a different place with these people you've lost, and they're always so touching. And I do things like that regularly, like every couple of years I do different grief things like that. It's just so fascinating how grief comes and goes, and we never know what's going to hit us when it's going to hit us.
so true.
Yeah, and then when I lost my dad, now it's like, well, shit, I just started grieving my mom like 2 years prior. Now my dad dies, so here we are with all this. Like, when's this going to end? Well, it's not, because this is life. Yeah, you get to learn to be with it in a different way, which I think is the invitation. So
That is so true. It's like life is just, getting accustomed to various types of grief. And I think when you suffer a grief so profound like that, it causes you to live more mindfully. I think when you're at your healthiest state, I do think sometimes people turn to addictions to numb out for a while, and to just not feel the hurt
for
so
sure.
badly.
yeah, I mean, like I was addicted to video games before porn. Probably like 9, 10 years old. I mean, I was playing video games for probably 6 to 10 hours a day. I kid you not, from when I was probably 9 to 17. And it's like, well, again, this is where I try not to be mad at my dad and my stepmom, but it's like, guys, did you not see, like, maybe this was a problem? Maybe Austin's dealing with something else than he just likes playing video games. Total numbing out, avoidance. I mean, there's a lot of stuff now about ADHD actually being like a depression or lack of grieving response.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but again, it's kind of just reinforcement of the script, which is my emotions are too much for other people.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody can handle the pain of what I'm actually going through, and I didn't even know how to access that until recently.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and grief is the worst of all of the emotions. I mean, it's just like it's got nowhere to go, and it's just a matter of tolerating it, until you can, I don't know, get through the day.
yeah.
But it almost demands that you respect it or honor it at the very least, because if you don't, it's like, well, I'll be back tomorrow.
It sure will. It's never going away. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I hope that you can sense the love of your mother. I think, I have 2 sons, and from just being a mom of 2 boys, I mean, a son is a mother's pride and joy.
Hmm.
more than a daughter. I mean, a son. You made a boy that gets to grow up and be a man, and that's so cool. And oh my
Hmm.
goodness, I just envision her having you sit on her lap while she's flying a plane. Like, she must have been so proud, you know.
I'm trying to find the picture. I actually, I don't know if you watched my long form video on YouTube, but I kind of told the story. This was a couple years ago now, but I showed one of the pictures during that interview, which is pretty
Oh
cool.
wow.
I don't even know how to find that picture anymore.
Did you look like your mom or more like your dad?
Well, I like to say I get my stunning good looks from my mom, Miss North Dakota, 1970s. I think as I get older, I'll look more like my dad. You know, an overweight middle-aged man that's balding.
Hey, you got some fluffy hair, okay?
I do, yeah. I have her hair. My dad was bald by like 30. I
Oh
have her
wow.
facial features, but I have my dad's height. I'm 6'7". My dad was 6'7" as well.
You're 6'7". Wow.
Yeah, I'm tall. I'm tall.
My youngest son is 6'5" at the age of 15. I mean,
Dude,
the boy is huge. Well, I'm
that's a
six
big
feet
kid.
tall.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So he's my older one's like 6'3", probably 6'2", but
Yeah. Yeah, I can find that picture here. It'll take me a second. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, and this is why, like, when I, dealing with men who are stuck in watching porn, I mean, it's like there's always so much more to the story.
oh, for
And
sure.
if you would have asked me when I was 30 years old, I mean, literally, this was my script. My mom died when I was 5, and it hasn't affected me. That's what I used to say. And to anybody who's remotely educated in a healing profession, it's like bullshit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's just a total crock. Thank you, Steve.
Some of it might be too just, it feels almost like this happened and it was just like, well, don't pause to really think about it, but just keep going in life.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember her funeral or anything.
I don't. One of my friends who's watching just sent me an album. This must have been from her funeral or something.
Screen share, screen share.
Well, I also don't want to be giving the context of what I do. I don't want to be showing all these pictures.
Oh.
I mean, they're not bad, but I'll show something. Hold on, let me find one. I want to find the one in the airplane.
I know. That's probably as a mom too, I've got literally thousands and thousands of pictures of my sons in, basketball, football, rugby, wrestling, and I'm always the one behind the camera. And I just, because they're just my pride, and I'm so proud of these two sons, and I'm like, I hope you boys know if anything ever happens to me, every single picture that's ever been taken of you boys was me behind the lens because I'm obsessed.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, that's a good picture. How do I show this? Hold on. She was just such a classy woman.
So she was a pilot. Was that what she did for a living, or did she do something else?
She was a pilot, yeah.
Did she fly commercial? Oh, whoa. Wow. Look at her with her tea.
Yeah. She was a charter pilot on her way to be a commercial pilot.
What a badass.
Yeah, and she always wore fur coats.
I wonder what about you is like her. You
Well,
kind
I
of have
think
her
my
eyebrows.
yeah. Oh man.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh.
Do I look like her?
More in the second picture.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, I'm so glad I have pictures and stuff, like so I can, because one of my coaches actually, who's skilled at narrative therapy, she when I said I don't remember her, she was like, "Well, find pictures and videos and pretend like you remember her. Like, you don't have to actually remember the experience, but because I was doing narrative therapy, so I was writing, so it was like write down what you felt, what you experienced as you look at these pictures, and that was so helpful for me as I unpacked a lot of that.
Yeah. Probably some of just that script or just the trauma of it is just to not think about her and to keep
Yeah.
going, you know? So, in a way, you might have programmed yourself to just put it to rest, you
Oh
know?
my gosh, some of these pictures, like, hold on, this one.
That one is like
Well,
a
that one,
modern
but
day
look at this.
Instagram.
Look at this. It's like,
Oh,
I mean, come on.
this is like modern Instagram, but back then they didn't do that. Look at
Yeah,
this.
I know. She wore fur coats everywhere. The stories I hear is like she would take us out for a picnic and take her fur coat off and put it on the ground for my sister and I to destroy. She rode horses as well. We had horses when I was growing up.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's her with the plane.
no way. Wow. She was such a dynamic person, you know, and that's those folks are just
Here we go.
so
Miss North
fun.
Dakota.
Oh, and she's like, but I fly planes too, honey.
Yeah. Seriously, I
I
mean, gosh.
love that.
My buddy just sent me a hot bikini shot. I don't want to show that one.
Hey, they were built different in the 70s, man.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm definitely not putting that on here. Oh man. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, well, gosh, this is very healing for me. Thank you, Sherry.
Oh, well,
Um,
you're welcome.
I just finished this grief class yesterday, and I was struggling a little bit to actually name the grief of losing my dad. I mean, obviously, there's my dad dying, but it's also just like because I've done a lot of grief work. It's like I lost years that I didn't have with him as a result of losing my mom and the disconnection that happened there, and then struggling with my addiction or disassociation. I'm grieving the years I didn't have to actually be authentic with him. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
I miss him, but it's like I miss what I wish I could have had with him. So that's one of the things I'm doing is like eulogizing my dad in a different way now that there's been a few years since then.
Sometimes the crappy thing about grief too is like we have to grieve two different people, and even though the same person is dead, we have to grieve the person that they were and the person that we thought they were,
Yeah, yeah,
or
for
the
sure.
person that we hoped they would be. Yeah, grief is a tricky bitch.
It's a bee. They say it's a bitch for a reason. All right, I have to pee. Hold on a second. Then I'm going to wind this down.
This has been one of the chillest chats like ever. Aw, what would help him, Courtney? Hi, Emma. You're welcome, unique one. Hey, Faith, I recognize your name. And Krista, what's up? Pam, hello. Isn't Austin the greatest? He's just really cool. Really neat dude. He's kind of one of those dudes that's you know, gonna change the world. Oh, thank you, Emma. Oh, that video. I have a professional page. It's at dr.sherry.grady. It's actually in a link to this, but I could maybe post that video somewhere on that page or on that TikTok. It's a really really good video. It's a YouTube video, and it's like somebody asked about the
Yeah, the
YouTube
video
video.
question. Yeah. Send it to me. I mean, if you
Yeah.
want, I'll make a little post about it.
Yeah, I'll try to put it in my professional TikTok is struggling because I just made it because I was like, oh my gosh, I should probably delineate my versions of myself.
It's so
I actually
hard,
have
isn't it?
it is. Well, and I have all these personas. I actually have a small ranch. So I live in Johnson County, Kansas, which is, you know,
I don't know that
suburbaniteville,
all.
but I have 3 acres. And
Hmm.
I have sheep and goats and chickens on it. And
That's
so
awesome.
there's a TikTok for that too, which is called Side of Ranch. So I like have each one of my personas kind of has its own thing. But my professional page, it won't let me go. I think it thinks I'm a bot still. So, but I will try and see what I can find here. Oh, thank you, Emma. I that's a long story. I had to nurse these baby kitties. Their mom actually died. I had some kittens, and they're on my personal page is what I think Emma's talking about. Somebody brought some kittens to me and said the mom died shortly after she had them.
Here, this is the YouTube video. So, so that's the picture I'm talking about, where she's flying,
Oh
and you see
my
me with my blonde hair,
wow.
and then the picture above it. I think we're out riding horses with my blonde hair. Gosh, I look just like my son. But yeah,
Wow.
I have a couple other pictures like sitting on her lap flying, and those are the ones like I just freaking love.
Oh, yeah, that's a mom that loved her boy.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
I'll try to find the video. Oh, all I know I can find it and I'll either text it to you or I'll share it, one of the two, and
Yeah.
we can post it in here. But it's a really good video. It's basically, you really have to get your mind as not blank, because I don't think that's totally possible unless that's just my ADD, but I mean, as blank as you can make your mind, and just, you do it through deep breathing
Hmm.
and really just feel, your body sitting in the place that it's at. And you kind of get yourself so relaxed that you can visualize yourself in this room is completely empty, and you're waiting, and your loved one walks in and they sit down, and you just experience them, and you get to ask them a question, and you can feel their answer, but you have to feel it in your heart. Such a powerful video, but I'll find it.
Yeah.
It's probably like 10-15 minutes long, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did a workshop. I do workshops around the country as well, like transformational life development stuff. And I actually hosted a workshop here in Phoenix that it happened to be, it started the day after my dad died. I had a 3-day
Oh,
workshop
geez.
that I had to facilitate. And on the last day, we basically have this grief sharing exercise. And it was the best freaking thing for me, because part of the exercise, without spoiling the whole thing, but you're standing face to face with another person, and you imagine it's a loved one who's died, in the past, and then you can, well, part of it, you can do whatever you want, but like give them a hug or something like that. And so when I had that, the person I was paired with was a friend of mine. He was a big burly guy. I'm a big guy. This guy was not as big, but he was exactly what I needed in that exercise. I'm glad I didn't get some 80-pound girl that would have crumbled.
I can
So
crush you.
yeah, so I gave him a hug, and I literally, I was sobbing uncontrollably for probably like 15 minutes. Like it sounded like a cow was getting slaughtered in the back. And it was the best grief release for me at such a perfect time, like after having to keep it together to lead this workshop and then be able to participate in that and just be held in my grief was just
Yeah. Wow.
so needed during that.
It's
It's
probably,
hard to
yeah.
grieve. It's hard to have the space to do that.
The thing about that thing, that scenario that you're talking about too, it's like that's what you needed at the age of 5,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
but you didn't get. And so sometimes life rolls back around and it says, "Oh, I'm here to correct the old wounds." It's cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, Krista said, "How have you gotten to the point of being so vulnerable?" Well, because I've learned, Krista, in my opinion, it's the best way to be. Not only for myself, but as an invitation for other people to be vulnerable and to heal. People will only be as vulnerable as at least one person is willing to be in whatever context that is. On TikTok, in a small group setting, at work, in your marriage, in your family, whatever it is. And, as I've been on this journey the last 7 years, I realized, you know what? I'm that guy. I'll be the vulnerable one. I'm a wounded healer. So I just think it's a much more rich experience of life to be vulnerable and authentic, which I think is an expression of telling the truth. Like actually telling the truth of what's going on for you instead of hiding behind the day-to-day minutia, which most of us do. I do it too, right? But intentionally disrupting that, it takes work and it takes practice. And I don't want to say I'm good at it. I don't think anybody like perfects that, but it's like when you do it for so long, it's just second nature. And it's such a better way of being, in my opinion, my experience.
Sometimes too, it's like a positive or a healthy dopamine hit too, because being vulnerable is such a gamble. When you think about it, it's like, are they going to still love me? Are they still
Yeah.
going to accept me? Or I've got to expose myself, and this is so scary that they would reject me. So in a way, it's kind of like a real life but positive, healthy gamble, because I think more often than not, you find out that the person says, we're closer because of what you said, and I love you anyway.
Yeah, totally.
And
That's true
man,
intimacy. Is when everything can be out there and it's not going to change your view of somebody. And also when you do that enough, it's like, sometimes people will text me who I know in real life, like, "Do you see what these people are saying about you in the comments?" And I'm like, I don't care. Let them. Who cares? Right? It's like, it's very entertaining. Yes, I see the things people are saying in the comments. It's like, yeah, whatever. But I think that just comes with again, the question of my life is, am I loved? I think we all have that underlying question. Am I loved? Will I be loved? If ... whatever that is for different people. And knowing
oh
that, to
yeah.
really know that, which I believe comes from God in my faith orientation, not asking anybody else to believe that, but that's something that has to come from within. It has to come from, something other than me, through me. And so people come and go. People are assholes.
The facts.
Yeah. Even people that you're married to sometimes are people that are your offspring. People are
Oh
assholes.
yeah. Well, and I think too, a lot of times when we're raising kids, we're really just doing the best that we can do. And I think that's probably, and I don't know what's been your healing journey with some of the grief, but perhaps looking back, it is realizing maybe your dad did the best that he could have done
Yeah.
back then, and it's giving him a little bit of grace. I don't know his entire story. I know that.
Yeah. Totally. Well, yeah, I mean, I've unpacked that as well. It's like, yeah, I think he did the best he could. And again, I'm also like, you know what? Who's to say that the outcome could have or should have been different, right? This is the story of my life. Fine. I mean, You can play Monday morning quarterback all day long. You know, could some things have been different? Sure, but again, I say it all the time. This whole journey is the biggest blessing of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why did my mom die when I was 5? I don't know. Do I wish it could have been different? Sure, but that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I cheat on my wife? Why was I addicted to porn? I don't know. But look at how the source of this wound, the pain, has turned into my biggest superpower,
Mm-hmm.
which is
And it's changing the
vulnerability.
lives of others.
Yeah.
Well, and it changes the lives of others. I think there's, I don't know, so many people want this issue to be accepted, and they want pornography to be accepted, and it's plated as though, if we don't like it, we're insecure, or there's problems with us, and somebody has to take a stand and say, no, this is degrading relationships. And primarily, if we take men out of the home, men are the backbone of our humanity. They're our strength, and if you take them out of the home, we're screwed.
Yeah.
So you need men that can stand up and say these things, and few and far between. So
Yeah. Totally. I mean, the lust and sexuality is just rampant in our society. It is everywhere. And it's like, it seems almost insurmountable. Like, how do we undo this? How do we put this back in the bottle? And gosh, I don't know the answer to that one. So I just try to do my part, right? And take a stand for things that are important to me. And that's what I'd like to call people into is, what is your stand that you're wanting to take to make the world better? And do that.
Wow.
You can talk about what other people are not doing good enough to make the world better, or you can go and try to make the world just a little bit better in the way that you want it to be better or think it would be better. It's really easy to tear down what somebody else does. It's really hard to take a stand for yourself and actually make progress moving forward.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's easy to do nothing and chastise and criticize other people than it is just to do something. It's a discipline that gets us up. It's integrity.
Yeah.
That's the driver behind it, but
Yeah, for sure. Some of you asked, this all streams to YouTube. So if you follow me on YouTube, you can watch a replay of this. And by the way, if you don't follow me on YouTube, will you please? Porn Coach, PXRN Coach.
my follower.
Yeah, will you please follow me? It's one way I feel loved. Yeah. All right. Let's end this night. California Mary. We need some entertainment here.
What in the hell is that?
What, California Mary?
Yeah, what is that? Am I?
No, I'm adding another guest. She was on.
Oh,
the other
okay,
night.
good.
You don't
I
know what
see.
you're gonna get with this lady. She was on a few nights ago. Mary, are you there?
No. Uh-oh.
Maybe she's not there. All right.
I was
well,
like,
Mary.
California Mary, what is that? Like the Irish goodbye? I'm confused.
No. It's Mary from California.
Okay.
Sherry was like, that sounds illegal. Yeah,
I know. I was like, is this something else I don't know about that my teenage
Let's
boys
do the
or
California
something?
Mary. The California Mary. Oh my gosh. One of our friends was over today and she subbed for a 8th grade class. And she said some word that the boys, of course, misconstrued into something sexual, which I thought was hilarious. And then she was like surprised by it. I'm like, are you surprised that these like 12 or 13-year-old boys took that word and are like snarking behind your back about it? Like, come on.
I tell you what, I had no idea about boys and men until I started raising two. And I'm like, Lord have mercy. And, thank you, Piper. She's a white husky. And boy, she is exactly those huskies in the videos that howl and scream and chew you out. It's a daily thing in this house. Anyway, but yeah, boys are a piece of work. I'm like, wow, I get it now.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like to tame the beast. It's like boys are crazy. I mean, hey, look, girls have their own stuff too. Let's be clear
Man,
about
it's
that.
just a different way.
It's just
It
different.
totally
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It totally is. Ladies don't have a clue about. You are right. We don't. And I do my best, but man, it's hard being a woman raising boys to be men. They definitely need a man to do that.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like part of this whole, with me sharing all this stuff, it's like this is the world we live in. We have all this stuff. Men and women are different. That's the unpopular opinion of the night. Men and women are different. We're different. We're wired differently. Neither one's better or worse or good or bad or right or wrong. We're just
Equal but
different.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how do we learn to be together? And I think there's spiritual components to it: repentance, forgiveness, grace, mercy, understanding, going again, submitting to one another. It's like there's a reason why there's ancient books written about all this stuff.
You can't say the
Because-
S word.
Yeah. Because it's like, how do we make sense of life? Like, yeah, of course, we all wish it could be perfect, maybe, I guess, but it's not. Here we are. So what do we do with that? Do we act selfishly and get lost in lust and desire and let our own, flesh control us? Or do we say, you know what, maybe there's a bigger story here than trying to just be selfish, and we can contribute to humanity in a positive way?
Yeah, I think so much of relationships is waking up literally every day and just like, how can I serve this person? And it's not myself. How can I serve myself? What selfish thing am I trying to fulfill? Because we both have them as women and men. And if you really wake up with that, I'm going to outserve this person.
Yeah.
Man, it's just changes life.
It's interesting. So I'll start doing my little pitch here, but I'm a coach. I do one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching, both for men dealing with porn and sex addiction and women dealing with betrayal trauma. My group's people are all about intimacy and vulnerability. Okay. So, you get a little taste of that here, but this is what we do in the groups. Last night on my men's call, yesterday, I have 2 men's calls. The prompt I gave the guys to talk about in their little small group breakouts was to talk about what is one thing, one area of their life to where they feel like love is calling them into more, and whatever that means for you. So if there's a situation in your life to where you feel like, gosh, you know what, I'm really feeling compelled to do something different or to love my spouse differently, or if you're not in a relationship, some close person in your life differently. What do you need to let go of so that you can live into more love for that person? And I shared my own example, which is, I'm up late on TikTok frequently. I'm a night owl. My wife's a morning person. But I've been getting up later and later and groggier because my sleep's all out of whack as I'm trying to figure out this whole TikTok show thing. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was, I got 3 little kids. I feel like such a D-bag when I roll downstairs at 7:15 in the morning to try to open my eyes, have a cup of coffee, and then drive the kids to school while my wife's making them breakfast, making lunches, getting them ready, doing all that stuff right now. She's a morning person. She does better. But still, it's like, this isn't every day, but it's like, especially on nights after I'm TikToking. So my declaration, my commitment was, I'm going to try to just be a little bit better in that area. Mm-hmm. And today I went downstairs at 6:40 and I helped with a whole bunch of stuff. And here's the cool part, and I'll share this with my group next week, but my wife texted me after she went to the gym, and she said, thank you for all your help this morning, heart, heart.
Ooh.
And look, it's a really small thing, but here, the point is it just took a little bit for me to acknowledge, to decide what I wanted to do to change, and figure out what's one way I can love her better. And I knew what was going. I knew what I needed to do differently. And I didn't say anything about it, and she recognized it. And I'm like, well, that's just freaking amazing, right?
Yeah. Just to feel appreciated. And, I think it's like you see me. Mm-hmm. Hi, honey.
Yeah.
It's in the chat, too.
Yeah. Wait, is that your partner?
It's just, That's David. Yes, that's my never boy. Yeah, we've been
Uh,
together almost 4 years.
that's
He's
awesome.
up
What's up,
late.
David? David, she is great. I really enjoyed having her participate here. Um, yeah,
No, but you're right. Appreciation goes such a long way, and it is, it's more than just somebody saying they appreciate you. It's that they see you,
yeah,
and like, man, that's just something I think every human being craves. Is like, oh, thanks for helping, or thanks for doing this, or thanks for doing something that I can't do myself.
yeah.
That's a big one. That's a very humbling, vulnerable thing to say too.
Totally. And to have the humility to acknowledge that, to do that, I mean, that's what it's all about. We got to humble ourselves, and I like to say for the sake of love. If what we're trying to create is experiences of love, which I try to. I don't meet the mark all the time, but certainly try to.
Yeah.
So, you should be a marriage coach too. Sarah, I am. Do you not follow me every day? Oh my gosh, I work with plenty of couples. Look, porn's just the hook, people. Porn starts the conversation. All right.
I know. Is porn cheating? He's been having this on here and then it's like we go on to all these different adventures on grief
Yeah.
and death and life and love, and it's just the hook.
Yeah. We do intimacy. We're having an intimacy workshop in 2 weeks. Links in my bio. Intimacy workshop September 14th. Strengthen your relationship in community. So, but yes, thank you, Sarah. All right. Well, Sherry, give us some parting words, and I'm going to wrap it up here.
Okay, the parting words today are for you, sir.
Oh gosh.
In that you don't have to stay up late doing this. I mean, if you build it, they will come. I think as long as you keep putting is porn cheating up on the screen, you're going to get people to stop by and take a look. You can do that at 2 p.m. if you want.
I can't though, because I have 3 kids that I have to pick up at 3:00.
Okay. It doesn't have to be at 2. I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm saying
I
not
know.
late at night. But
Well,
yeah, some of
yeah,
it.
I'm trying to figure out a different schedule for that. The problem is my best hours are like 3 to 5 p.m. typically. So like I'm useless at, I'm not useless, but 9, 10, 11, those are just not my best times of the day. But I've been experimenting a little bit with doing lives earlier in the day. Anyways, so
Yeah.
what other parting words do you have?
Man, I think it just goes back to, if we can wrap the scripts up, and if we are capable of knowing and being vulnerable enough with our loved one to expose our scripts, say, hey, this is what I know, this is the cross that I personally have to bear. If we can serve one another in such a way that we have a constant awareness of what the other person's scripts are, so that we're in the state of constantly caring for that wounded inner child, I think that's a really good way to approach a relationship. And just to always seek to heal those wounds that exist, beneath the surface, that drive a lot of this behavior
Yeah.
as well. So
Inner child.
thanks for what you do. Thanks for what you do. I know this is hard. This is a lot of very vulnerable work in front of a lot of people late at night. it's
Yeah. Well,
it's fun stuff.
As
And next, your mom really loved you.
yeah.
Moms love their sons. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That was fun. Thank you for poking in there, even just looking at pictures of her and stuff and talking about her. That was nice. Thank you for that.
Yeah. She was a badass.
She's such a badass. I know. I know. All right. Thank you, Sherry. Follow Sherry.
You're welcome.
If you guys, I always qualify it. Follow Sherry if you like her and her content. Follow me if you like me and my content. And if you don't, I don't care. Follow us anyway. You can come back and argue with us sometime.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I'm a coach. I do one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching, both for men dealing with porn or sex addiction and women dealing with betrayal trauma, and couples. We do couples work. We have a workshop coming up in a couple of weeks. And I have groups. We meet on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You can go to link in my bio to check that out, or schedule a discovery call with me and be happy to chat. And every live is so different. Every live is so different. I do. It's
It
amazing.
is.
And as always, make it a great day or not, people. The choice is always yours. So what will you choose? All right. Thanks, Sherry. Good to see you. Good talking to you.
Night. Good to see you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.